Do these signature windy fingers. So we showed it to Windy yesterday.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. Have you lawyered up? I guess that's the question. Windy feels you've violated his shtick here.
I guess I have to. I will be lawyering up this morning right after the show. I was unaware of the
Win the game. You both were brought there not to get on the same page, not to have 3 for 30. I love both of you, Hall of Famers. Go win the game. Go dominate. Devontae, go 8 for 110 and a touchdown. Find a way on the back of both of you to win the football game.
This week they play New England. We'll see how that one goes. Harry, how about the duo of Josh Allen and Amari Cooper? What are we looking for?
Well, number one, this duo started off great. 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown for Amari Cooper. I'm looking to see how much more they're going to put on his plate. I like how intentional they were in getting him the football, getting him involved. You seen the release at the line of scrimmage for a go route, for a big play. Also lined up at number 3, the touchdown play that you just seen. And then this is the go route right here. I'm really looking forward to seeing how much more they can incorporate him into that offense and make big plays.
Yeah, he's got rookies telling him where to go. I can't wait to see how dangerous he is when he knows where he's supposed to be. J-Mac, what are you looking for with Patrick Mahomes and his new receiver, DeAndre Hopkins?
I can't wait to see Hopkins making big catches in January and possibly February. I think this acquisition is to give Patrick Mahomes somebody reliable in those critical points in the game where Mahomes comes up his biggest. Look to see Hopkins doing all of his work against zone covers inside the slot.
Schefter, talk me through this here. We knew Kansas City was going to need to make some kind of move in the absence of Rashee Rice. Take us through how we got where we got, and do we think they're now in position? Are they done with these kind of moves?
Well, I think here's what happened. I think that they looked at this where they would like to add a wide receiver, but they also liked the way that Juju Smith-Schuster had been playing. He suffered a hamstring injury. They already ruled him out for this week. And so when you're already missing Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice, and now you lose Juju, that's where talks with Tennessee start to accelerate. Now, DeAndre Hopkins is a player that the Chiefs targeted and talked to in 2023. The price was such that it was a little higher than they wanted to spend. In this particular case, the Titans are footing the bill for $2.5 million. They're taking on some of his salary. It makes it more palatable to Kansas City. They needed another target. He was as good a target as they could get. Now, there are people around the league who say that he doesn't get a lot of separation. And that is something that could be an issue. But he's still DeAndre Hopkins. He still doesn't drop any passes. He still is great at the 50-50 ball. So he has to be an asset for Patrick Mahomes. You have to think this is going to be a big-time addition. But it's not the end-all, be-all acquisition that I think some people think it is.
Well, that's really the question. So I love having these conversations on Thursdays because we have our receiver here. Harry, you have tape. Show me DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, number one, we're going to have this play right here. And I will say this, Kansas City, they're going to see a lot of zone coverage, number one, because who their quarterback is in Patrick Mahomes. You're going to see DeAndre.
So that doesn't happen unless you're getting separation. Patrick Mahomes right now part of this is because no one's getting open consistently for their offense. But he's really struggling throwing into tight windows. He only does it twice a game. And the completion percentage is bottom 3. That's the best player on the planet.
What you're actually seeing is there's a lot of little execution stuff, a lot of little detail stuff. And where's the problem? Where's the disconnect? That part of it we don't know. But the things Troy...
He would be better off not bringing it up at all. He's not going to say anything that makes any Cowboy fan think any differently about Derrick Henry. Stop talking about Derrick Henry.
General manager's job is to bring good players into the locker room.
Correct.
When Jerry says, I know Derrick Henry is a good player, but he doesn't fit our system, what he's saying is, you as Mike McCarthy, I could give you this guy, Derrick Henry, you're not going to know how to use him. So there's no point of us wasting our resources to go out and get this guy because offensively, they can't incorporate him within our game plan to get him to look the way he does with the Baltimore Ravens. So I look at it as Jerry saying, I understand he's a good player. We just can't figure out how to use him.
You know what Derrick Henry does for your football team? It forces you to figure out how to use him. What was the narrative on the Baltimore Ravens the first 2 weeks of the season, right? We didn't understand their identity. We didn't know which direction they want to go in. They figured it out, right? Because when you have an extreme talent like Derrick.
Exact comment. Could you imagine if Andy Reid took Travis Kelce and was like, I don't know how to use him, so we won't have him? Or the Baltimore Ravens decide not to draft Lamar Jackson because we don't know how to use him. Or the Dolphins don't trade for a Jalen Ramsey because he doesn't fit what we want to do. The lack of football vision of how to take talent and make sure that you place that talent, no matter what your philosophies or schemes are, to impact your football team, it's damning.
And it's not Jerry's job. Just go get good players and put them in the locker.
And then the people you've hired,
yes,
that's their job.
Just bring in good football players. Derrick Henry is a fantastic football player. It is that simple. Bring him into the locker room. Let the coaches figure out
That's
how to
not even a good football player. That's a great football player.
By the way, you brought up Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Over the last 4 weeks, each one of them has won the last 4 Offensive Player of the Week awards. Now, I'm not a big Offensive Player of the Week award. I normally don't care, but I usually notice when one team and 2 players win it for 4 straight weeks, like the Ravens, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
The Cowboys didn't have a 15-yard run. Henry's got 12.
I know.
He's played 6 games, 7 games.
He wouldn't fit in Dallas, man.
Math is pretty simple sometimes. The Dallas Cowboys are the worst rushing team in the NFL. That's a statistic. I'm not giving an opinion. Derrick Henry is among the greatest running backs that ever played, and he's playing as well right this minute as he ever has. He is on pace to break the single-season rushing record. He is on pace to break Eric Dickerson's all-time record for most rushing yards in a season, and he is on pace to become the first player ever to run for 2,000 yards in multiple seasons. Derrick Henry belongs in a conversation. I'm not saying this is a little premature, but when it's all said and done, we're going to talk about him the way we talk about Walter Payton and Jim Brown and Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, and insert whoever else as you want as the greatest running backs of all time. That's who Jerry Jones is telling us didn't fit into his offense.
But 3 weeks ago it was because they couldn't afford him.
Yeah.
Now it's because he doesn't fit into the offense.
Henry is 30 years old. As a general rule, running backs tend to fall off. I thought it been a risky move. I didn't expect it to look like this. And in retrospect, obviously, it doesn't look the way I meant. And the world would live with that. Like, you sometimes make mistakes. If you acknowledge them, the world moves on.
You could say that. You could say it a lot of different ways. You're best off not mentioning Derrick Henry.
Right.
You're best off focusing on your team and the players you have. There is no argument you're going to present to a Cowboys fan to make that person feel better